In this video, you are going to learn how hackers can hack any Windows operating system and bypass Windows Defender just by using a BadUSB. Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Sad from CyberSudo. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and follow us on social media for more content. Before we get started on how we can program the BadUSB to hack Windows operating system, let's learn what BadUSB is. Now, a BadUSB is a programmable USB device that acts as a human interface device, just like a keyboard or a mouse. And it's mainly used to inject keystrokes and manipulate the target computer. For example, you can program a BadUSB to do everything you want, like change the administrator passwords, hack an operating system, download malicious file, adding user, deleting user. You can use it or program it to do anything you want because you are programming it to inject keystrokes into the target computer. You probably heard of the USB rubber ducky that's been featured in one of Mr. Robot episodes where they give Angela a BadUSB or a USB rubber ducky and she has to insert it into a computer to steal the login credentials. If you haven't watched Mr. Robot, I highly recommend watching it if you are a hacker. It's one of my favorite TV series, so don't miss it out because I think it's very interesting. But they actually use the BadUSB or a USB rubber ducky to steal login credentials. So what we are going to do in this video is that we are going to program the BadUSB to disable Windows Defender first and then download and execute our payload or virus or backdoor on the victim computer. So even if your payload or virus or backdoor isn't fully encrypted, you will still be able to gain access because you have actually disabled Windows Defender. Now, without being said, let's start our video and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more hacking content. Now, here is a very good example of a BadUSB, which is the USB rubber ducky by Hack5. This is one of the most popular BadUSBs, and the only downside with this USB is that it's very expensive. It costs $50, which I think is very expensive for a BadUSB. But there is another option, which is the Malware. It comes with the case and it's cheaper. It's 28 pounds, and sometimes you can get it for 20. That depends if there is a sale or not. And it comes with a case just like the rubber ducky, and it has a USB-C and a normal USB. And there is also another version, which is the W. You can connect it to a PC and then control it wirelessly, which is very cool, I think. It's a little bit expensive, but I think this is okay. And there is another thing, which is you can actually look at YouTube and you can see that there are many BadUSBs that you can use very cheap, which is this, for example, it costs $1, or this one for $3. So you don't have to buy a very expensive one. This is not important. The main thing is that you get a BadUSB, whether it's the rubber ducky or the Arduino or one of these, that you can program it yourself. And now let's move to our part, which is this. Now this is the Docker script reference. You have to learn the commands, and I think the commands are very easy. You can just visit this website that I will put it in the description of this video, and you can see what each command would do. For example, for the delay, this will wait or make a pause for a certain time. For example, 1 second, 2 seconds, half a second, etc. And this is also a very important command, which is the string. And this is to type a text on the screen, and the Windows or GUI will just press the Windows key like this, for example. And you have the menu or app. This is not very important. You have Shift, which is very important, Alt or Control I think these are very important, and it's very easy to learn. You can just visit this website and you will learn everything within just maybe 5 or 10 minutes. So it's easy, so easy. And there is another thing which I want to show you, which is this one. And this is a website that generates payloads for your Docker script, or generates Docker script or Docker commands like this, and to use it immediately, so you don't have to write one by yourself. You can just say create payload, and then you can select the operating system. You can go to Windows and then select what kind of information you want to extract from the Windows operating system. You can say user information, and if you want to use any exploit scripts, you can say disable firewall, and where you want to save the results, which is going to be on USB or via FTP, email report, etc. And then you can generate the payload and download it, and then you can use it immediately. So the download inject.bin, this is the firmware that you have to put it in the rubber ducky. I don't have the rubber ducky, I only have the Arduino, but this is not necessary for now. This is what's actually what you want, which is the download ducky code. Download it, open it, and then you can see all the commands in here. Now, in my case, I have created my own Docker script that will disable the Windows Defender and then download and execute our virus or payload on the target operating system. And even if this virus or payload isn't included, it will still work because we have previously disabled Windows Defender, and that's why our backdoor virus or payload won't be detected. Another thing that I want to show you, which is an article that I found online that I think is very interesting, which is the 60 best rubber ducky USB payloads. These are payloads that you can immediately download and run on your BadUSB. For example, Wi-Fi password grabber, click on it, and here is the Docker script. You can just copy it, put it in your BadUSB, and then use it immediately to grab all the Wi-Fi passwords. And here are all the scripts if you want to use one, etc. Now in our case, the first thing we're going to do is to go to our Kali machine to create our payload and then upload it to our server so that we can download it using the rubber ducky on our victim machine. So let's go to our Kali machine. So I have previously created one, which is this one. I'm gonna delete it. So let me create one. I'm going to type the command first, and then I'm going to explain it. So here's the command. The first one is MSF Venom, which is the name of the tool that comes with Metasploit framework to generate payloads. And then we want to specify which payload we want to create. In my case, I'm going to create a payload for Windows, and the shell or the type of the shell is going to be Meterpreter, and we want to get it as a reverse TCP. And then we want to specify the port number that we want to get a connection on, and then the IP address of our Kali machine, which is this one. You can just type ifconfig to get the IP address, and then the file, which is the extension of the file, is going to be exe because we want to run it on Windows. And then we want to save this file to the desktop, which is in home Kali desktop, and then we want to call it payload.exe. Now I'm gonna hit enter, and you can see that we have a file generated here. It's not done yet, but let's wait a little bit, and as you can see, it's been generated. Now the next step is we want to turn our desktop or Kali desktop to a server or web server so that we can download this payload immediately from the Windows machine. So to do this, I'm gonna type Python 3. Okay, Python 3, then -m to specify the module, which is gonna be HTTP server. And then we want to specify on which port the server has to be, which is gonna be on port 80. So just for example, when we browse this address, which is Kali address, for example. Okay, let me type Kali address. Okay, so we have a problem here, which is we haven't turned the Kali desktop to a web server. Instead, we have turned the root directory to a Windows server. So what we want to do is to move to Kali desktop and then run the same command so that we can turn our desktop to a web server. So as you can see, we can see all the content that's on our desktop in here. And the file that we want to download is called payload.exe. So it's this one. Now the next step is to set a listener on our Kali Linux using Metasploit. So I'm gonna open a new terminal and then I'm gonna run Metasploit by typing msf console and then hit enter. And then I'm gonna say use exploit multi-handler. And then we want to set the payload that we have previously created, which is the Windows interpreter reverse TCP. And then I'm gonna set the L port to 1234 as, or the one that we have used it with the payload. And then we want to set the L port, which is our or the L host, which is our IP address. So enter, and let me say options. So here is the L host, it's correct. The L port is correct. And let's say exploit. And now we are waiting for a connection to our Kali Linux. So here is the Ducky script that we are going to put in our Malduino or our BadUSB. It could be a rubber ducky, or it could be a Malduino, or it could be a BadUSB that costs $1 that you can watch online and see how you can do it. But this is the script, which is the most important part. And the first section or the first part of this script is going to disable Windows Defender, the real-time protection, which is the most important thing. And the second part of this Ducky script is that it's going to download and execute our payload. Now let me explain this script. Now the REM just means it's a comment, so we can add whatever we want. This won't affect, or this won't actually run in the BadUSB. This is only used to comment your Ducky script, to just say this script will disable real time and then continue. So first it's going to wait for 1 second, which is 1000 milliseconds, which means that it's 1 second. And then it's going to press the GUI, which is the Windows key, which is this one, and then wait for half a second and use the command string to type virus and threat protection. And then it's going to hit enter, wait for 2 seconds, and then press tab 3 times. So let's say, for example, we have pressed the GUI key and then we typed the virus and threat protection, enter, and then we want to press the tab 3 times. Let's try it, for example, right now. 1, 2, 3. You can see that we are here. And then we want to press enter. And then it's saying, once we press enter, we are going to wait for like 200 milliseconds and then space, which will turn off our Windows Defender. I'm going to say no for now. And then Alt yes or Alt Y to say yes. And then wait for 1 second and then Alt F4 to close the Windows Defender. Next, what we are going to do is that we are going to wait for half a second, press the Windows key. This could be Windows or GUI, they are both the same. And then we want to wait for half a second and then type CMD, wait half a second, and then press Ctrl Shift and enter, which will prompt a window to run the program as administrator. Let me show you this, for example. Let's say CMD and then Ctrl Shift enter at the same time. This will prompt a window asking us to run this program as an administrator. When I say yes, you can see that it's been running as an administrator. So then we are going to wait, Alt Y to press yes, and then wait for 1 second. And then that depends on the Windows version that you have. Sometimes you have to put Alt Tab and wait, and sometimes you don't have. And that's why I'm telling you to understand the commands, because if you just get this exact Docker script and use it immediately, it might not work with you. You might need to change some stuff, and this is why I'm explaining this to you. So once we open the CMD, so here is the CMD, There we're gonna type a cd and then a backslash and then cd Windows, which will take us to the Windows folder. Let me show you here. So this will take us to the Windows folder. We will wait, then enter to go to the Windows folder, and then we are gonna type echo, and then this command, the wget, that we use it in Linux to download the file. And we are downloading a file from our server, which is gonna be and here where you have to put the direct URL of your virus or your payload. And you can see here that I have my Cal Linux IP address, then a slash, and then the name of the file that we want to download, and it has to be correct. And then we are going to save it as virus.exe, and we are going to save this string to a file called download.ps1 because we will run this file as a PowerShell. So let's see the next command. So we're gonna wait, hit enter to run this command, and then string PowerShell. So here we are actually using PowerShell, not CMD anymore, to run the file that we have created, which is the download ps1, and then and is actually used to like combine two commands together, and then we want to run the file. Now you might say that why don't you put everything in one command? We can actually do this, but for some reason my Malduino doesn't work correctly. So once I combine all these three commands together, it won't type everything. It will just type half of the command and then will stop. I don't know why. Maybe the version that I have doesn't work correctly, or the Malduino has an error. So I'm just telling you guys that an error like this might happen, and that's why I have separated all the commands so that we can type the full command. So let's continue with the script. We will wait for half a second and then hit enter to run this command, and then wait for 3 seconds and Alt F4 to close the CMD. So let's try this and see how this is going to work. Now we might face error, who knows, but let's try. Now let me change something here, which is the virus.exe. It has to be payload.exe, and then we want to call it payload.exe, and then here we will change it as well. So because we have created it and it's called payload.exe, let me see it here. Okay, so here it is, and it has to be downloaded from this URL and executed or outputted as payload.exe, and then we went executed. So let's save this file, and now I'm going to plug in the Malduino to see how it's going to work. So our Docker script didn't work from the first time because there was an error connecting to our Kali machine. It wasn't able to download the file from our Kali machine because there was a problem with the web server. I have rebooted Kali and I think it would work right now. So here we have our listener. It's listening on our Kali machine and on this port 1234. And here is our Python web server that turned our desktop to a web server so that we can download the payload from our Kali machine to our Windows and then execute it. Now let's try. Let me go here and see how we are going to do this in action. Now I'm going to plug the Malduino again, and I hope that it worked this time. And as you can see, we have got a reverse connection on our Kali machine. So this attack took about 8 seconds, I believe, but it's between like 5 to 10 seconds. But I think in 10 seconds, this is hilarious because you are actually disabling Windows Defender and then downloading and executing the payload, and the payload won't be detected because the antivirus is already, or the Windows Defender is already disabled, and then you were able to get a reverse connection, and this is only with 10 seconds. So guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and if you have any question, please let me know. I'm going to add the Docker script to the description of this video, and follow us on social media, and let me know if you have any questions in the comment section.